Welcome to the Four Visions Market Podcast, a space built on the principles of integrity and reciprocity. Together, we will engage in thought-provoking conversations about plant medicines, why these plants are coming out of the rainforests, jungles, and mountains after thousands of years, and what it means to be in right relationship with the ancestral wisdom cultures and guardians of these traditions. I'm your host, Mariah Gannessa, founder and director of Four Visions Market. This podcast is the natural evolution in our commitment to providing you, our tribe, with incredible resources to support you on your healing journey through plant medicines. Welcome home.
Welcome back, Four Visions family, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Four Visions podcast. Today, I'm honored and humbled to be joined by an incredible woman and powerhouse, Isis Indriya. It's an honor to get to welcome you to the show. Thank you so much for being here with us. And I'm so excited to get to have this conversation.
Thank you. It's such an honor to be here. And I just really appreciate and love your spirit and the spirit behind Four Visions. It's just been a real honor to be in your presence and where you come from and how you take care of things. Thank you for having me. It's a real honor.
I would love to just dive in with a question about what is the prayer that you are stewarding and what is your vision that you're holding that is your guiding light in the path that you are walking.
We're at a powerful time in our human experience. Some refer to it as the time of the prophecies, and some refer to it as a time of transition. And really feels like one of my elders has said, the future of all life is really dependent on how we tend to this time. I feel that every day, was born in Mesa, Arizona, raised on the island of Guam. So I come on behalf of my ancestors, Shore people. And I was raised in the village there. It's made up of villages, and we've been navigating colonization our entire life and still do. And really just the strength of our culture withstanding continual colonization and how we see that all over the world. And a big part of my prayer is to do my best to bring forward what seems to be what has lasted through the ages, which is the ancient wisdom and the deeper wisdom of this beautiful emerald earth and of the cosmos, to steward these ancient teachers in a way that's helpful and useful in this modern day. And on behalf of the liberation of all beings, human and more than human, and on behalf of, the four-legged, the two-legged, the swimming ones, the standing ones, the insect beings, the flora, the fauna, always on behalf of our children, our children's children, infant generations into the future. Every offering is for them. Our elders have talked a lot about we're borrowing it from them, I think about that a lot, So that is really what my prayer is. And ultimately is just to serve in everything I'm doing, even in my morning time and when I'm resting, and how that contributes in service in the world.
Beautiful. Thank you. Really just honor that vision that you're holding, and what a gift it is to be alive in these times and to get to witness this incredible evolution and transformation, and to play a part, a small role, whatever our role is, in this waking up and remembering process. And that's really what it is. It's a remembrance. And like you said, right, this wisdom has been here since the beginning of time. And it's now the moment for us as humanity to return and to come back into the heart and remember where we come from and remember what our design is. It's never left us, as we've always been this way, but for hundreds and hundreds of years we forgot. And so to be here in this now and get to play a role in this remembering, it's such an honor, and really, one of the pillars that holds me in the path that I walk. And I always just give so much gratitude and thanks for this gift of life.
I feel like there's so many faculties on the inside, so many intelligences and so many pathways of, that are available to us, whether it's, the water in our body or the blood in our body and the bones and every part of the magnificence of this body temple, there's so much wisdom. I feel like a big part of my learning lies is how to listen more and tune in more and pay attention and really clear out whatever I can, purify on the daily basis so I can listen more.
Yes.
Like,
And like stilling the noise, right? And we are living in a time when there's so much noise. There's more noise than ever before. And so that practice of listening and that skill set of finding that peace in the storm and tuning out all of the noise is something that I'm constantly cultivating within myself. Would you share a little bit with us about how your journey has led you to be walking in the path that you are walking today, and what your personal healing journey as well as your quest for spiritual consciousness has looked like?
really honor my mom here, Deborah Naki, when she passed and she became my ancestor, my primary ancestor that I commune with regularly. Was 4.5.
Wow.
And so her taking the path of becoming an ancestor, for sure, was the hardest moment in my life. I'm still always learning and tuning to. But her journey to the other side has been a crucial key in my path, period. Not knowing at the time depression as a child for a long time, all through high school too. And in that depression, I kind of sort of shut down because I had so much sadness and so much grief that I didn't even know how to process or how to experience it or how to handle it. And through that, I found my way. And I was raised in a culture and a family. Like we lived in Arizona, and then when my mom passed, pretty soon after that, we moved to Guam. We lived with my grandma and my auntie and my cousin, and went straight to the village and colonized colonized territory now too. So I got to see what happens with colonization on a day-to-day basis, because my dad has been very much involved in the community of keeping our culture and tradition alive and being a voice for our culture. And then also watching my grandmother go through the forgetting to the point of dementia.
Wow.
Because of the trauma around World War II and all of the things that happened to her and so much of my family. And then also witnessing my aunt and the trauma that she experienced from colonization, and then how kind of crystal meth came into the island and watching her go down, and my cousins and everything, and being so young, seeing all of this and not understanding. So I grew up with an immense amount of beauty and an immense amount of hardship. And the way that I was able to make it through that was to commune with my mom on the other side. And I would see a lot of the beings. We were raised where there's legends in the land, and there's legends with the trees, and there's spirits that live there. And we're raised with learning how to respect the ancestors of the land. And that would really help me through all of the hardship. And then when I was about 17, I moved to America, and I found entheogens and psychedelics, which have been primary teachers for me, like for sure. Specifically, mushrooms is really how I began my path in that way. And then I found breathworks. And breathworks was really pivotal to helping me break through a lot of the grief and trauma. I found Reiki, and then I found transpersonal psychology. And I remember through the Reiki training that was really helpful with the breathworks and with all the entheogens that were my teachers at the time. Studying transpersonal psychology really helped. And then my teacher at the time was also into stargates. And so I started learning about star systems and star beings. And she wanted to buy a trip to follow her teacher to Egypt, to Kemet. So I followed her at 19 of her following her teacher. And so then I went to Egypt and Kemet and went on a 3-week initiation, sold everything, left everything in storage, and just went. And so I went for 3 weeks, not knowing anything. I still feel like X amount of years later, not quite sure I still know anything. But that was really pivotal to opening the doors to my own studies of the mystery teaching. And throughout that time, so many really close people to me have transitioned in all kinds of ways, whether it's been through really intense scenarios or through a gentle passage. And so death has been a big part of my life. I really appreciate when you said the preciousness of life, because I really feel that every day, how precious it is to be here. And having so many people close to me pass on in all the different ways has made it so I'm learning continuously what it means to be grateful to be here. And then also learning how to commune with my relationships on the other side to do better at being a steward to best of my ability. Plants have been a huge and still continue to be huge teachers for me. So many of the things that I am in service to and I'm offering at this time have been absolutely informed and instructed by them. So I have a lot of gratitude for all the plant wisdom teachers. And that's a big part of where you're coming from or what I'm learning. And so I feel like that's really shared here. And, I'm just really grateful that you are bringing this to the community in this way too, so these conversations can be had.
Thank you so much, Vidam. So beautiful. You've had such a rich journey filled with a lot of beautiful opportunities and introduction to so many different modalities. What a gift, what a blessing to have come into contact with so many incredible teachers and teachings along your journey that I'm sure have all come together to make you who you are today. I really just want to honor the teachers that you've had and give thanks for them passing on their wisdom to you and the role that they've played in your spiritual maturation. I feel called to ask you to share a little bit more about your relationship with the portal of life and death and what you've learned through loss and grief and anything that you feel called to share with our listeners that you feel might be supported for us as a collective, right? Grief is part of life, and learning how to experience death and honor the many facets of our existence is part of living the fullness of life. So I really just want to give you some space to share on that topic.
I just find there's so much grief to feel for myself anyways, whether it's in my personal experiences or my feeling into the interdefinite web of life. Perhaps why, definitely why I believe the ancient Egyptian teachings are teaching me still is because of what I learned about and I'm still learning about is their understanding of how life that feeds death, that feeds life again, and the cycle of eternity. The eternal cycle of life and death and rebirth. And also with master plan teachers too, just the work of transformation and the art of transformation and the journey of dying and being reborn. How many times that we experience this living, and then in relationship to those that pass forward. And one of the things that some of my elders have taught me a lot about is there's so many relations that are non-visible, and oftentimes one of my elders was telling me that they are here to help, but they help when you ask them because they want to know what to help with, versus a relationship, absolutely building a relationship. And with all of my relations that have been close to me that have passed through that direct, intimate experience of this life, and then wanting to stay in community with them on the other side, have helped me learn about that. I call upon my close relations that have passed pretty regularly all the time to say thank you for all the help that you have been doing and all the teachings, and I could really use some help right now. And then through my strengthening my relationships with them on the other side, the non-visible environment, they taught me a lot about non-visible relationships. With some of the ancient, Egyptian traditions and, often references Kemetic traditions, there's this dynamic where as humans, we're obviously part of this ecosystem. We're learning what it means to be part of this ecosystem, how to tend again, but learning from the wisdom of the guardians that have been tending for time immemorial, and the legacies and the stories.
Mm.
And then also too, similarly, learning how to collaborate with the cosmic worlds too. And so together, the cosmic realms, the wisdom of this ecosystem of the natural realm as humans. So my teachers have talked about learning how to crochet together. And so that we're creating and weaving something that is unifying and honoring the diversity and everything for sure, but like weaving together.
Mm-hmm.
Where I didn't know that as a young age, I was taught in a young age about, the spirits of the trees and, our ancestors that live in the trees and our ancestors that live in these waters. And I was raised with that, but I wasn't raised with communing with the cosmic realm too, and learning how to ask and commune with the cosmic realm and those particularly working in certain environments on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of the ancient Egyptian teachings have been really helpful for me with that, and helped me even unpack my own culture and tradition. Things like, oh, that's what they meant.
Mm-hmm.
I love this ritual that's still happening in Egypt. Also known as Kemet. It's called the lamentation rites. And it's this practice of grieving. And even every time I've been a part of those prayers and those dances, I don't even necessarily know what I'm grieving for at the moment, but coming into the environment to do the grieving ritual, all of this grief that has needed to emerge has a place to emerge and travel and move. And, sometimes I'm going to go and participate in those, or we have our own grieving rituals here now. There's a particular clarity of why, and then I'll go into that grieving ritual. But then once I go into that why, all this other grief starts to come forward. It feels so good in the heartbreak to open to grief and have that heartbreaking open experience and feel connected. And because it's so easy to want to turn away from what's happening in the world, because there's just so much that there's so much grief in that, and then also so much distraction combined with it, and it can be hard.
Yeah.
And, I found that, at least for myself, I can only speak for myself, that it feels so important to grieve and cry and release and let go and feel and experience and revere and honor this time of transition and everything that's happened from before. Because sometimes it feels like the grief was for 5 minutes ago, and sometimes it feels it was like 2,000 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes it's just so much. And I found that to be a really important part of my transformation,
Mm-hmm.
and a part of how I can serve in transformation too. Mm-hmm. Actually, and I love that the 4 visions, because a lot of my offerings are connected to visions.
Mm-hmm.
So I just really love that this is what this is called and how this is stewarded. And the way that I receive visions is through the particular forms. And in the last year, a particular vision has come up in different forms around a community grief ritual.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to honor like Simone Fusome. She's the first person I ever did a grief ritual with. And then some of the other grief rituals I've been a part of in different places. And honor the fact that those are still happening, because there aren't very many communities that I know of that this is still happening. So thank you for bringing it up. It's actually been a big part of my prayer lately.
I feel like grief is something that we can always go deeper into and utilize as a vehicle for transformation and healing and deeper healing and peeling back the layers. And I always really honor people who have a strong relationship with grief, because it really is a source of tremendous power and embodiment. We can't move forward in our fullest expression without a deep honoring of what's been, and a deep feeling of all of the full range of our emotional beings, and both conscious and unconscious, of everything that we have carried and are just carrying in this life and on all lifetimes. And I also just really love when these topics come through from different speakers, because there's so many connections, and I love the different expressions that we choose to utilize to articulate something, and then getting to see the many different connections. And, there's so many different pathways to this one universal place of knowing and embodied wisdom. I really just pray that anyone listening who is looking for a way to grieve may have received through that, insights and an encouragement to really feel everything that the human expression allows and gives to us, and to utilize it as a powerful blessing and gift from Creator to deepen our understanding of this life and what it means to be alive, and this gift, this incredible blessing that we're given. In this beautiful relationship that you have had with the cosmic and with the celestial realms is really so incredible too, because your journey has given you many different doorways to gather information and to just learn and hear a little bit more about this process that you've been going through. It really resonates deeply, and it has me really thinking about, to this point of different lifetimes and different consciousnesses that we're carrying grief. There's also different worlds and different dimensions, and this cosmic space that you touched on. It's also giving reference to the many different worlds that exist, these many different dimensions that exist, and the different timelines that bring us to this body here and now. Oftentimes when we are unwell, we're unwell in other realms, we're unwell in other worlds. And so when we try and fix things here, we often forget that sometimes the sickness is happening somewhere else, or happened in a different thread of time. And so this process of expansion of what is real and a greater opening to these many different realities that are existing simultaneously. It has been a beautiful study for me that I love to do with the plants, because it's one of the easiest ways to go traveling to those other places. I would love to hear more about the work that you do in your journeys to Egypt, and the mysteries that you have had the opportunity to study and deepen in with your journey there, and how it has brought everything together for you, with your path that you're on, and this journey of consciousness and wisdom.
And I would say that my learning is how to weave. Learning how to weave. I come from an indigenous culture, Chamorro people. And we have ways, in our culture. One of the things that my dad taught me that I'm always learning from still is he said that the way that we've learned to help maintain the harmony and the reverence between all relations, human and more than human, is rooted in an Afro-Malik, which is a deep respect. Mm-hmm. I'm still learning about that. That simple phrase is like always teaching me, and we've been raised to really learn about respect, and I'm still learning about it. And through that, my dad has been so generous, my family has been so generous, because I'm sort of like always looking into other pathways, even though I come from culture and tradition. I'm learning about other pathways. And my dad's, he said to me, and I think he said to me once, I always say this, he said, if I could offer you one piece of wisdom that has been very helpful for me in my life, it would be always to maintain a state of awe and wonder, and the world will keep blossoming for you. So I followed the awe and wonder. And the awe and wonder has and still continues to guide me towards understanding the mystery in various forms. My primary teachers have been in relationship to, plant teachers, medicine elders, indigenous elders with different plants, and Hermeticism, and learning about the mystery teachings in that way. And then oracular transmission, learning the path of the oracle. And through those three different pathways, and a lot of travel, a lot of study, both from a book lens and from complete dissolve into the guidance of a plant. Through all of these different pathways, I found myself in service and stewarding this path of the learned through, and I'm still learning through the path of the Oracle, is essentially what you shared, how to tune into the infinite dimensions that are occurring in all timelines, backwards, forwards, upside down, inside out, diagonally, deep within, perhaps in a black hole inside the body, and maybe the black hole in the center of the Milky Way galaxy. All timelines happening simultaneously, and the multiple dimensional dynamics that are occurring, the time frames and timelessness, And I love going as far back as I possibly can, learning the art origins. That's one of my favorite ways to learn, is the art origin stories, and learning and listening to origin stories from different elders and wisdom carriers and traditions, and going to places in the world where there are origin stories, and even in the colonizing dynamics in the places that have origin stories in the land. I like learning about that too. So I would say that I'm a seeker and I'm a student. What's been the primary guide for me in all the different pathways I've studied has been this crystal ball, and her name is the Oracle. She was gifted to 3 of us in 2001 from a person we call the Archangel Gabriel. His name is Gabriel, and he kind of just passed this crystal ball to us and sort of like disappeared. It's somebody that she knows where he is at this point. And when this crystal ball came into our life, the Oracle, there was 3 of us, Michael, Osiris, and I. We started producing events, and it started a whole community, a community crafting journey for 10 years. And the crystal ball itself has been the magnetic attractor of teachers and experiences and life journeys. And there was a particular journey with the Oracle gatherings that took about 10 years. And then I kind of went on my journey. The shaman card was pulled. And so I went on my plant studies path. And I left the community pretty soon after that, and was away from the crystal ball, and went really deep into medicine studies, teaching still. And then I'll never forget this one moment where I was deep in a dance floor experience. And I came home and I saw this letter that Chief Arvo Looking Horse had wrote to Obama. And it was a letter where he was asking how and why things are happening the way they are, and the level of colonization and the dishonor of Native American peoples. And the letter was so intense for me, I just started grieving and weeping, and kind of like nonstop. And then when that happened, the spirit of the Oracle came back into my life. And so I called my relations, Michael, to see what the crystal ball was, Osiris. And I asked if they could bring it back to me. And so the crystal ball came back. And when the crystal ball came back, this kind of like fast forward motion happened. And then that led to the school, the Academy of Oracular Arts, the lighting of the flame. We have a fireplace, sort of an altar. The flame, the altar, the school, the Oracle Divination Board. Even though the visions had come in 2001 and 2004, I didn't really know what they were. Mm-hmm. And when the crystal ball came back into my life, the entire culture, another lens of the culture started to emerge. And what I learned, and I'm learning from that experience, and is that sometimes when these visions come, some visions are mine and some aren't. Some are mine to steward, some aren't. Sometimes we're tapping into these greater visions. Mm-hmm. So that interdimensional work happens too.
And sometimes the visions aren't what we think they are either. Right? We were talking about that, how we have to check the visions multiple times.
One of the visions that came in 2004 was the Divination Board. And I didn't know what it was. I thought it was a land map, and maybe it still is. I still don't know, And then in 2007 is when 2005 is when the vision of the school came. Mm-hmm. But again, I didn't know what or how or who or when or if. So fast forward to 2017, a dear friend, Johnny Ray, he had heard the vision of the Oracle Divination Board because he'd asked me. it's not something I like talk about. Somehow he got it out of me. And then for my birthday, he presented a version of it, which was so beautiful. I'm the carrier of it. And then through that, we started talking about it further, and then brought forward the vision that I saw in 2004. But I still didn't know it was divination board. I just thought it was a cool map. But it is. It's a cool blueprint, And then like a couple of days later, my dear friend Maz came, and she had some dice. And she's like, I don't know why, but I was told to get you these dice. And it's a zodiacal dice that houses numbers and planets. And so then I tossed the dice on the board, and then I realized I could read it. And then my friend Alejandra asked me to give her a reading. And we had crystals around, and I worked with the crystals. I was really studying crystals. And then I realized, it's a divination board, because Egypt is still, Kemet is still a great teacher for me. Because a lot of my learnings from earth wisdom traditions kept coming, sharing with me that part of my learning is to go to Kemet in Egypt. It kept coming up in these earth wisdom studies. And so that led me to there. And one of my elders too, at one point I did the Global Climate Summit was happening in San Francisco, and there weren't any conferences that, except for If Not Us Then Who, that were highlighting Indigenous voices. And that felt really important to me. So we did another conference called the Village Symposium with my friend Johnny to highlight Indigenous voices. And I remember one of my elders had said, a big part of in our culture of why the climate dynamics are occurring in this way is because of the offerings that aren't being laid into sites. And that really pushed me forward. And then Allison Gray had a vision of me taking journeys and pilgrimages to Kemet in Egypt. And so all that kind of happened in the same moment. And I had already been going, but then I was like, okay, I think this is a directive. And so then I started, right before the board, I started going to make offerings to Egypt, to Kemet, because I'm really always in awe of how and what and what and how to serve the origins of these temples and these sacred sites all over the world too, but particularly what I've been instructed to do is to go there regularly as of now. I've traveled to a lot of sacred sites all over the world, and I still will. But part of the instructions are to do that. And so I was doing that and following along and learning, and came upon a teacher there. So I was doing that, hosting courses, hosting classes, hosting conferences, hosting speakers and teachers, and such a student, like at the compass at lightning in a bottle. And then when the divination board came into form, then came the school, which was a vision in 2004. I think 2004, 2005, more forward in 2007. And so then I was like, oh, okay, there's those visions again, And through all the different things that I love doing and am in service to, it was almost like the visions started to make themselves through me. And then I was just following along, doing my best to keep up with them, And I have really strong values around highlighting Indigenous voices. That's really important to me. And something I've struggled with in my path is this is an emergent technology. And that's what's been hard for me. Because I'm like, well, I like to know exactly where it comes from, but why lineage to be, Really. And so when the divination board came, I was like, well, how can I tend to my values around that too? And all the things that I've been so grateful to have been passed to me, and they're still being passed to me in this emergent technology. And then that's where the school came in. It's like, okay, I can highlight and bring forward, and also with the compass at lightning in a bottle, voices of those that are the carriers of it. And then also what's come with that is voices that have been past the tradition, that are the original carriers of it too. And so it's this constant dance of learning how to tend in reverence to the deep wisdom teachings of this blessed earth and the relation to the cosmos. and some of the teachings that have been lost and forgotten that are being remembered now. And then how to tend to the remembrance of them in a good way. It's just wild.
Oh my goodness. He's been so beautiful about, and it really is this showing up in awareness and presence and recognizing that there is tending to be done here. If we just sit and watch or just let it be carelessly evolving, then there's not that presence that is required to do it in a good way, like you said. Wow, that's so beautiful. I love it. And what an incredible journey that you've had. And I really understand now more of this balance of why it's so important to have the work that you're doing with the highlighting of the traditional stewards and their voices, and how it really comes full circle with the container that you're holding with the Oracle art.
For Visions family, taking a short break from today's episode to share with you about a very special opportunity coming up this April. Backed by popular demand, we are beyond excited to announce the spring launch of our Dieta series with my teacher Taita Juanito and myself. We invite you to join us for a month-long study to commune with the spirits of nature. Kindi Wasi is an Ingano term that refers to the spiritual house of the hummingbird. In this house, we find the teachings of sweetness and flourishment. Utilizing the master plant Bobinsana, we will undergo a spiritual study over a period of 4 weeks, understanding that the more open and receptive we are, the more that our connection with the spiritual world can flourish. Oftentimes, there is so much noise that we are blocked from that connection. Through the process of undergoing a spiritual diet, we will nourish the garden of our minds and reignite this connection, bringing the medicine of the hummingbird and the healing power of Bobinsana into our lives. Taita Juanito will lead this beautiful journey into spring that will impart renewed energy and a glowing spirit for the coming season. Spots are filling up quickly, so I wanted to make sure you got all the details for this life-changing experience. We begin April 1st, and for the entire month of April, we will be deep in this profound spiritual study together as a community. The diet includes 3 wisdom teachings with Taita Juanito, 2 live Q&A and integration sessions led by myself, and amazing resources such as Bobinsana meditations, journaling exercises, and other potent rituals to accompany you during the study. Not to mention, we'll be sending all participants a very special Bobinsana tincture made and prayed over by Taita Juanito himself, along with a 1-ounce jar of Bobinsana hape and bitter and sweet plants. Using the plant technologies, we will invoke the spirits of nature to catalyze our spiritual evolution and healing journey. Go to the link in this show notes to learn more about Kindi Wasi. And now, back to today's episode.
What have you realized within yourself as you've kind of come into that place of integrity and found that self-acceptance? Or perhaps what was the fear that was holding you back from doing it and doing it in a good way?
I would say the fear that has held me back is just cultural appropriation, and then also like colonization. Like I was raised witnessing it happening in real time. Mm-hmm. You know, like I've really struggled with that.
And what was like the turning point for you in settling into this responsibility that was being given to you?
Really and it's a continual dialogue, you know, with myself and my dad, my family. You know, it's a continual dialogue. And I realized in my own blood and my own body that not just in my like immediate Chamorro culture, but even further back in my bloodlines, both the colonizer and the oppressed storylines that are like inside me, you know? And I really feel like ancestral medicine, ancestral healing, ancestral lineage work is like, for me, the most important work I can be doing and continue to be doing and supporting in service to is crafting culture in a new way. It has to be rooted in a deeper study and like reverence and like real care. Mm-hmm. For our origins, where we come from. And then it's like, even when I go into our origins, and there's like another origin to that, and then another origin to that. And it's in this time of like the unveiling and the uncovering, we're still learning about who we are. and where we come from. You know, there's like my grandma and my grandpa, and then there's my great grandma and my great great grandma and my great great grandma and my great great grandma. And then the deeper remembrance, it's like thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago. Like, do I have any blood from that? You know?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, why is it that I am so connected to this? You know, and why is it that like my whole like spirit lights up in this, really devoted to learning this when it's really, really, really far back? Because as I kind of learn about where I come from in a more immediate way and fall more in love with my own bloodlines, I also find falling more in love with my ancient lines too.
Yeah.
It's almost like this like deeper falling in love of like who we are as humans, a part of this ecosystem, in this cosmic ecosystem. It only like continues the more I seek in the different forms. And then that seeking, the like tending and caring and grief for this time of transition is even more too. Mm-hmm. And like the devotion, you know, the devotion just gets stronger and the dedication gets stronger, and like the like importance of self-fortification to like be able to show up. Mm-hmm. And this is where I think the path of the Oracle has really keeps growing, because a lot of my studies and continual studies is there was like a seemingly intentional eradication and erasure of carriers of these ways. Mm-hmm. In different cultures and traditions all over the world. Mm-hmm. And straight up erasure. And we still see that happening now. And the way that I'm learning about is that through these deeper studies in the path of remembrance and through the different vehicles and ways to go inward even more to understand our origins, where we come from, the macrocosmic as a microcosmic being, as like it's like still blows my mind how trillions of interdependent beings are working for us to be a spirit and a body. I mean, it's just like, wow, there is so much that we're still unlocking inside of ourselves, you know, through the deprogramming and the decalcification and clearing and the cleaning of all of the traumas and colonization and storylines. The more we unlock these interior faculties, the wisdom of the water in our bodies, the bloodlines, like the clairs, all the clairs, clairsentience, clairaudience, clairvoyance, all the clairs, the more all of that comes online and more access to our DNA and the information inside of ourselves, the more we can be part of this time of emergence and be in a good way. That's how I feel about it. So I'm just like devoted to that. And to help in this time of awakening. Sometimes I always ask them, what does it mean to be part of the time of awakening? How does that work? What is the ways that happens? Mm-hmm. You know, and through that journey, you know, has led to a deeper devotion to it. With Gabriel's Forum, I'm all hands, hearts, bodies, and spirits on. In the oracular path is a path that's an altar that anyone from anywhere can come to. Mm-hmm. Because that was also part of my inquiry, is like, what is an altar that is a home place that anyone from anywhere can come to and not be appropriating, but more appreciating and revering the roots and the origin stories, and open up these interior faculties in a way that carries a deep reverence to a sacred way of life. Mm-hmm. You know, what is an altar that can do that? And that's what I'm learning in the steward to supporting and serving.
So beautiful and so important, this process and these containers that allow for us to come to the altar and to experience what it means to live life as a sacred gift that it is, and to really unlock the treasures of the sacred, of the mysteries and be said. And so beautiful that you are open this container for so many people to the Academy, and that people are coming from all over the world and resonating with this avenue of deep inquiry and come to life and to the altar of life from this place of reverence. And this is what we're craving. This is what humanity is deeply needing, more opportunity to revere the sacredness of this human experience and to celebrate in its fullest expression. Concept of prayer, it's been so distorted and has been given so many connotations and just expressions and the many, dogmatic religious paths. But truly, prayer has been one of the greatest vehicles in my life for bringing forth the experience that I deeply wanted to create for myself, and rising out of a consciousness of victimhood and truly stepping into this place of co-creation with life, as you're speaking to, and really choosing to, like you said, be part of the solution and be part of the building of this new world, this new earth, this new planet, and really like, what is the legacy that we want to leave for the ones to come, right? What is the prayer that is going to be our last breath and our inheritance that we bestow upon the next generations? And so this place of prayer is so important to me, and I feel it's very important to you too. I really just give honor to the prayer warriors, the ones that are holding this channel and also opening spaces for others to tune into the power of prayer. Because oftentimes, with everything that's going on in the world, it's easy to, belittle prayer. And it's easy to say it's not enough, or that, more needs to be done. And of course, every situation requires many different lenses to, come to a greater understanding. But I do not believe that the power of prayer is not enough. I believe it to be by far the most important thing that we can all contribute to the healing and the remembrance process. And so I really do envision a world where all humans are reconnected to this power, this prayer, this direct connection, and the antenna to the celestial world and to the cosmic realms. And like, what a magical vision it is to just sit and reflect and think about what a world would feel like and look like if all beings were acting from this place of prayer, of intent, of awareness, of intention, right? And this place of thoughtful action and intentionality. And so it's been a principal pillar, I believe, of like my life and my path, as well as guided every decision I made, every choice that I made, even to the extent that, it's one of our company's like primary pillars that we stand on is the power of prayer. And I also really believe that prayer is integral and important in every space, and that's something that's almost radical to think about, but it's important in politics, and it's important in leadership, and it's important in decisions and legislation and in all aspects of life, in the home, in the way that we raise our children. Like, prayer is the deepest way for us to connect with life and the most easily accessible portal for us to get out of the mind and get connected to the greater force that is all around us. It's never left us. In every moment, every breath, we're here connected to the force of creation and to expand what we believe we're capable of, or what we believe is accessible to us, utilizing prayer to be a bridge for the reality to what is within our reach, and a new reality, a new vision for this earth and for humanity.
Something the Oracle said to me once and really said, the path of offering is the antidote to the extracted mind.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I really love that. Because what I love about prayer, my entire life is prayers. And it's just so beautiful to track life and get tuned into life with prayers. And one of my elders says, the old people say is that there's this braid of prayers that touching the north and the south. Keep the North Pole and the South. Every time you make a prayer, that's an offering to help with the weaving that braid. And then nourishes the whole earth. and all of the beings here. And I always carry that with me because prayer is also a pillar for the school. It's the heart of it. Everything is built on prayer. And I agree with you 100% that prayer is, to me, the key to this time of turning. And community prayer, too. And we started something a couple months ago called Communion.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a Sunday prayer service from 12 to 2.
Mm-hmm.
And really acknowledging that that's how the Catholic and the Christian church, there's the Sunday service. It's a prayer service. The Holy Mother is a big teacher for me, and guide. And as mothers, I kept being like, well, what about, prayer service fully held by the mother? And different womb carriers meet prayer service to continue to weave these prayers. And, I do feel that, you and I and a lot of people probably in this time that are listening have a path of prayer or diving deeper into a path of prayer. And, I just love this feeling of, it being a way of life.
Mm-hmm.
This is the way of life that we live.
Mm-hmm.
Everything.
Such a gift.
Mm-hmm.
So beautiful this way. I too also want to share, I also suffered from depression and anxiety and separation. And I never imagined that this beautiful life existed and was within my reach. And as I went through my healing journey and started really coming back home, this beautiful opportunity to see life as a gift and to live life this way just was beyond what I had ever imagined, and now every day is just so beautiful and so magical. Like you were saying, this sense of awe and wonder with life, and to be pleasantly surprised by the majesty around every corner, right? It's like living life through the eyes of a child, and this beautiful innocence and all the wisdom carriers that I hold with deep reverence have mastered this gift of innocence and youth. I would love to share a little thing more about the Academy and this container that you hold and the community that you steward. What the apprenticeship includes, and for those listening, as a modality to support them in their spiritual studies. I know a lot of our community will be very intrigued and interested in these offerings.
Well, the reason why it's called the Academy of Oracular Arts is because of the crystal ball. The crystal ball is I referred to it as the heart of the school, the crystal ball, and it really attracts and magnetizes really amazing teachers and guides and people to it. And the Academy itself, Academy of Oracular Arts, has all different kinds of courses, and anything from 4 sessions to 9-month apprenticeship programs. And so there's a lot there, and elders and young ones and wisdom carriers from all different walks of life. And part of what I steward is called the Oracular Arts Apprenticeship. And it's a 9-month journey to really look into and study cosmic blueprints of that we've seen in ancient traditions of how creation creates itself and how creation continues to create through us and creates in the world, and how the cosmic realms are a direct reflection of the majesty of this realm, and how the relationships of heaven and earth. And we really dive into a lot of mystery tradition studies. There's an academic side to it. It can be very, very academic. And with that, we look at principles of creation blueprints, and then we have a body of practices, and then we apply them in ritual. So there's a lot of ritual arts in this too, so that we are, through the practices, we're embodying the teachings from the academic side, and then through the ritual, we're learning how to be in co-creation with the forces of the natural world and the forces of the divine environment. And so a lot of it takes time, and it's a whole, at least for me, a continual perspective opening. I'm constantly, my awareness is constantly opening. And one of the ways we like to approach this work is really attuning to that each and every one of us are multifaceted jewels. And we're a part of a web. We're all a part of the web. We're a web of multifaceted jewels.
Mm-hmm.
And that not just a two-way mirror, and that through the devotion work, through the divine work of transformation, this commitment to polishing ourselves, refining ourselves, healing, tending, clearing, communing, going deeper within ourselves, we then can assist the polishing of others too. We polish each other, we help each other out, we refine each other. And then in this journey of refinement and mutual polishing as jewels, we then become a current of a multifaceted jewel together through our communion, our coming together, our coming in relation to a sacred way of life from all of our pathways. We become a multifaceted jewel that becomes, our vision is to then be a jewel in the web of consciousness that can be of assistance to polishing and refinement too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we like to look at it in the context of a holographic universe. And so through this is, continual path of training. And the 9-month journey is the first journey. We could just do that. People can sometimes just do that. And then we have the second year, which is the path of the prism. The first year is the path of the jewel. And then the second year is the path of the prism. We start to go deeper into divinatory practices. So the first year we learn about the blueprints, dive deeper into the transformational work. We receive a body of rituals and practices that come from divination boards. And then we apply in ritual. So we enter into the spheres of creation, spheres of consciousness in the interdimensional web. And in the second year, we start to learn how to divine. And then we learn deeper how to apply that in ritual theater. So we bring the ritual studies into theater, which is the race of theater. There's the theater, our ritual, So then we dive deeper into ritual theater to become the archetypes, to become the vessels and the instruments for creation to elegantly create with us and through us. The next year, the path of the luminous is to then assist others in the journey too, and to become guides and teachers of the paths. So that's the journey. And of course, there's a lot of different studies that are connected to it, of different pathways and traditions. But really the way we apply that in our practices and ritual all come from divination. So it comes from the technology that is unique to this particular altar.
Wow. So beautiful. And love that. And it is both virtual and remote. So a lot of people who participate in the journey are not local here to Nevada City, correct?
Yeah, we have a virtual component and an in-person component. And a lot of, we're really blessed because it's an international, a lot of people from all over the world are a part of it. It's a part of what we've been learning is, the art of record keeping in it, and so that people can watch the videos at a different timeline.
Yeah.
Because there's so many different time zones involved. But yeah, there's a virtual component and the in-person. We do love to come together for one final initiation experience together. Big part of this path too is rites of passage and initiation. And I feel, and I feel this is something we probably share, that this is a time of initiation, and part of perhaps what has been needed and that we're returning to is having rites of passage and initiation to then go to the next layer of our path of service. So we really we do that also. And we love it when everyone comes together from all over the world. That's always our hope every year anyways. And why it's called an apprenticeship is because it's also a passing of legacy. And so it's to pass forward rituals and technologies that can be utilized in other communities and offerings. One thing that is dear to my heart is what you shared too, is legacy. What are we passing forward? And so that's why it's called an apprenticeship. It's to pass it forward. And we have our Mercury days, our Wednesdays, and our class days, and then we have our weekend immersions for 9 months.
Beautiful. Wow. Well, we will include all the links to all your beautiful offerings. I know that we didn't get into everything that you do today, Isis, but for those listening, I just really encourage you to go down the rabbit hole of checking out all the beautiful projects that this incredible woman is stewarding, because it's pretty magnificent and inspiring to see all the different weavings that you are holding and tending to, and there's just so much there. So I really highly encourage you to check out all of her beautiful offerings, and include all those links for those who are listening. So wow, thank you so much. This is so beautiful. I'm so grateful for this opportunity to connect and to receive your wisdom and your medicine and get to share it with our listeners and our community. It's really, really special to me. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming and being with me today. And with that, I just always want to offer a space for you to close in whatever way you feel. And if there's a prayer or any last words or message that you feel called to share before we end.
Thank you. Well, I just want to, express my gratitude for being here, and I'd love to close with a prayer. Well, first I want to say thank you to these ancestor homelands here up in Nisanan and this whole place here, Ustavan, Nevada City. And thank you to both of ours and all of our benevolent, elevated ancestors, our guides, our allies, our highest selves, our holy guardian angels, and our councils. Thank you for all the holy beings and all of the directions, the 8 directions and the 3 worlds, all of the 4-leggeds, the 2-legged, the semi ones, the standing ones, the insect beings, the flora, the fauna, all of the holy living life force of creation expressed in this emerald earth. Thank you. In that way too, thank you for our star relationships and all of the cosmic relations too, like that, and how we are on this beautiful emerald earth, learning the art of tending in relationship to our ancestors, where we come from, and all the beautiful teachers and guides and allies that have been guiding us along the way, and the way things are passed forward to us, and how we're learning how to co-shape in collaboration on this earth with these celestial bodies in motion, moving forward. Thank you for all of our guides and teachers. And as we're learning on our path and on the path of transformation and devotion and what we're guided towards and what magnetizes towards us, may our hearts, our minds, our bodies, and our spirits be uplifted somehow and in some way from this time together, in deep reverence for where we've come from, everything that has led us to this moment, and everything that has guided us here to this moment. May we be uplifted that way, and in that uplifted, may somehow, in some way, may it be of great service to us this time together. May it be helpful, may it be useful, may it be practical, integratable, and supportive for us and all of our relationships, human and more than human, in our walk of life, and our families, our communities, as we strengthen and build our relationships with all of the life force of creation, may it help us that way. And in that way, we say also thank you, to the spirit of 4 visions, the heart of 4 visions, for the gift of the offerings in this podcast, and the ways that the good medicine and the prayers of so many indigenous voices and peoples and plants and wisdom, instructions, and guidance from the infinite interdimensional web with life, how these prayers are coming forward at this time. Thank you to the art for visions that way, and in that way, the Heart Academy Oracle Arts. And in that way, on behalf of the liberation of all beings, human and one that can live, may this time together be an offering into the web of life. On behalf of that liberation, on behalf of the interdependence of all life, the natural world, the human realm, and the cosmic realm. And may this offering be of great nourishment, tending to whatever needs to be tended from the past, making them genuine, authentic, generous offerings in this present moment, weaving and creating more beauty, more love, more gratitude, and it's the web on behalf of infinite generations into the future. All connected to blessed be. And so it is. One more thing. So let's say, as mothers to our children and all of the children, on behalf of the little waters of creation to all of our children, thank you.
On behalf of the Four Visions family, we want to thank you for listening to our podcast. We hope you have enjoyed this conversation and have gained seeds of wisdom that will nourish your spiritual path. If you have a moment, please leave us a review, as this helps us to reach more people. For more resources and information about the plant path, and for the highest quality spiritual tools and botanicals, please visit us at fourvisions.com. We are grateful for your support and look forward to continuing this journey with you all. Until next time.